4 big blinds, pocket 5s, will be calling, pocket 3s. GG to Tim. We are running away from the 500s. 2.5k is ours. Oh, look at that, very close actually. Yeah, GG. If the games are so reggy, so we're not going to try and battle our way in the 500s. We're going to hit and run with our profit. And our opponent flops trips. We flop a king, turn a king, and no help on the river. Let's go play a 500s, huh? That'll be more exciting, won't it? We've got a Persig, a gentleman that appeared as one of the floating heads in that video. So, shout out to Mr. Persig. We have the real Rondo, who was also playing the 250s. Who I need to update the reg. Okay, everyone sees the notes. Need to change the label there though. Had him incorrectly labelled as recreational something. I apologise immensely for. Using the bigger size on the 3 at 2. 3 cards below an 8. Go ahead and bluff, mate. Everyone remember that jingle? Shout out to my coaching. Yeah, sizing up. He probably hasn't signed up with value though, or bluffs. We don't know. What was it again? Anyone in the coaching remember which one he's supposed to do? We don't know. But looks like he's just going big again. Certainly could have some bluffs here. I expect Tim not to have too much of a folding range on this river. I expect my opponent just to be shipping kings plus, queens obviously. Jacks and 10s probably the check. Tim does find the fold. Could have had, for example, a combo draw. Could have had a 3x of diamonds, something like that. All very reasonable. Hopefully, catching Tim in a session tomorrow. So we're going to analyse all of these and tell him to stop jamming into ace jack. Pro tip number 1. Although it's really aces. That's the one that Wubsy's not happy about, right? I think. We're going to ISO queen head off. We're going to see about this board. Sizing. I'm fine with 1.5. We're going to go for a barrel. So we'll keep his range wider. When you go quarters now, of course, it gives him the option to, flat with king of clubs, king of spades, etc., etc. And ends up getting through. Start with a limp with a 4-8 off. Probably don't want to be over limping too many hands at this stack depth, but 4-8 off is definitely one of the ones to think about. I think just plays better as a limp. Just going to check this flop. That will definitely be a card I'm happy to bet and barrel on. So we do limp some ace-x. We limp, for example, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, ace 9. Certainly could check the ace 10, ace 9, ace queen maybe, probably, etc., stuff like that. We'll go for a bet. He will expect us to obviously probe a lot. The 4 is a card. Is that so consequential? So like when he snap calls here, does he have some queen x? I guess he could, so maybe we don't want to turn this hand into bluff. We would be over bluffing if we take everything. I mean, given that we have a lot of air on the turn, we're just going to check this with a pair. Tiny bit of showdown. Well done us checking. Cambridge versus Peterborough. We'll check here. Shout out to Wubsy's geographical knowledge. Although Mr. Persig is now a little bit closer at my end. He's moved down the road a little bit, so probably only like 45-minute drive away into his new flat or house. What was it? I don't know. I don't think he's watching, but Tim, if you are watching, hope the house is looking tidy. We're going to limp call with Queen Jack suited. We're going to check this back because I think who's starting with a check. Excellent Twitch usernames coming up here. I don't know who that is then, but thank you for starting with a check for the follow. We started with a check there because I think the perception is everybody bets their flush draws. And CBP Sematete is also following. Thank you very much. Should we just check this down? I mean, does he fold king highs if we bet the river? It's kind of debatable. We have the best queen high. It's a lot of showdown as well. We're just going to check. I don't mind actually showing that we have some diamonds in our range. Does he fold king 5? It's a good question to ask ourselves. I'm kind of surprised to see him not actually probe that hand. Certainly a man probably been in the labs and doesn't want to be over-folding in certain spots. He goes for a raise. I guess we'll start with a flat. Could shove this if he's raising wide. We don't know. Pretty good board for our defending range at 15 bigs. So we want to be cautious about if he goes big, which he does. We certainly probably need to start with a call because we have to call off on spades turns. You can certainly semi-bluff, and it's a bit too exploitable to be folding here. Although, it's not the end of the world, to be honest. We could have maybe just folded the flop. We have a fair amount of players. We're obviously calling off on a king, a jack, and a spade. And I think that gives us enough outs to not be just throwing our chips away. But we do expect to see this just followed up with a turn jam very frequently from our opponent. Shoving the king 4 suited. We get call baseline. Good luck. We hit a 4. And we have some flush draws, and we hold. Very nice. King 7 off at 20 bigs. We're going to start with a defend. We'll be check folding this board. Victor! Another subscriber. Thank you so much, Victor. Much, much, much appreciated. I really do thank everybody who's taking the time and potential dollar to subscribe. You can subscribe through Amazon Prime. You get a free subscription. So if anyone's not subscribed and has Amazon Prime, it's free. Sorry to Victor if he spent money on that, by the way, and had a free option. But yeah, much appreciated, Victor. Thank you so much, mate. And look forward to seeing you in a video at some point, right? We're going for a c-bet here with the reasoning that we can call a check raise. And we need to make sure we're not overly under c-bet in this board. As number girl, 8 Earl, is, I'm going to check. He snap checks back. We have a blocker. We also have ace high, which is some hands. He can certainly have a king 6, king 7 has played this way. We have a little bit of showdown. I'm going to choose not to go for a bluff here. Again, would be, I think, a bit too over bluffy. Could we have bet the turn? Possibly. We probably could have got that hand to fold. But I think we would have fairly wide bluffs, but just not with that hand. We're going to be calling ace 6 off. And we're up against king 7. Definitely could be a check raise. I miss a lot of things, Ryan. One of the haphazards of trying to stream things is I do miss some spots. But thank you for bringing that to my attention if I did miss that spot. Zach has managed to send a hexagon eye. I think you meant subscribe, yeah? Did you write sub? I think you wrote. I think that's a sub emoji. Hyper reveal. I don't. You've somehow got an emote. I don't know how you've done that, Zach, but something's happened. Wubs once again. Banter in caps lock just to make it clear. Oh, he's upset the Greeks. He's upsetting the Smoggies. Smoggies? Is that offensive? Sorry, Zach, if it is. We'll be 3-bet jamming this. Have we seen a recreational yet? I don't think we have. Games are reggy, guys. Pretty hard to turn a profit in pure reg games. But if you want to try and turn a profit, the best thing to do is try and get pocket pairs and have them have lower pocket pairs. As happens not now. Pocket tens. I'm going to c-bet this board. Just going to go 1.5. If he raises, I guess we start with a call. If he calls, we'll see what the turn brings. 4 spades. We have less equity now. Happy to bet fold, to be honest. So again, I don't expect him, especially when he snap calls too often, to be having tons and tons of check raise bluffs here. But we obviously get value from a 5x, a big spade, etc, etc. Now as played, I'm actually going to check. I don't expect him to hero call a 5x if we triple barrel here. He certainly can have us a bit at this point, but we're hoping he turns up with a hand like Queen 5, no, Ace 5, King 6 was also a hand. Never folding that. Always losing two barrels to it. No problems with that at all. Victor, you might be the only one paying for 2 shot, but thank you anyway. I do appreciate it. We could ISO this. I'm going to check against the reg. But next month, how about that, Victor? Next month, go into Amazon. Use your Amazon Prime, if you've got that. He goes for a big sizing. We're just going to fold this. This big sizing definitely becoming a new meta, isn't it? Like, we did a lot of study of this about 6 months ago. And now the entire Twitch universe seems to be very keen on this 1.5, or at least the opponents we're playing. Of course, a lot of them have been in solvers a long time, and so they come up to similar conclusions, I think, that we do in certain situations. And so, obviously, that will help them. He jams. We're not happy. We're just going to fold the king-queen off. I guess we would call king-queen suited. MVP Pie is now following. Thank you very much for the follow. Hope you are doing well. We're going to start with a min. We'll jack it off blind v blind at 11 bigs. Don't think it's a jam. And so we're going to try and balance our queens plus. Pretty good board for us if we had queens plus. Start with bets. We don't have that much ace-x, it's important to recognise. So we're going to go for 1.5. And we get the fold. 2-10 off, we'll be folding. As Mr. Tough Radio states that London is capital city of Great Britain. I think you are correct. Okay. 6-10 off. Just going to be folding that. No problem. 3-2 off. Into the bin. The Dark Blue tag, Ryan. Denisius is now following. The Dark Blue tag is a reg of a specific type, if that makes sense. So typically I label regs green until I kind of figure out where to categorize them. So like aggro reg, stationary reg, etc, etc. And the Dark Blue is just a certain type of that. I won't say what, obviously, in case Mr. Vodka Bears ever watches the stream and figures out that he's a massive folder or hero caller or bluffer or whatever. You know, you don't want to give away that information. But yeah, he's a reg, but just a certain reg type. We're folding. I think there's 2 off at 13 bigs. Maybe min raising. Don't think it's a shove. So yeah, reg hunter may be a similar type then to Vodka Bears. We're going to be folding. To be honest, the labels are kind of just like to remind me to think a bit, you know. What I might actually do is get my Google Doc notes, because I really don't like pulling up the notes on the stream if I can help it, as we're going to fold, I think, the Queen 6 off. But I have some more notes in my Google Docs, and they're a bit more comprehensive and extensive, and it means that I can actually look up these guys, because pretty sure I've got notes on both of them. It also means I keep them off the tables. The real Rondo, that's him there. Okay. Okay. We'll be following the Queen 5. We'll be shoving the Queen 2 suited for 8 bigs. We get it in snap called, but get it in head. Nice. And it's a 10, which brings him the win. Shall we try one more? we need to find somewhere, guys, to play where there's some recreationals. So we might do some hundreds after this. Maybe we'll get a recreational. If you are, let's say, a marginal winner at more of the 55 GPV, you can afford to go a little bit lower, maybe sort of 150, 200. And if you became not a marginal winner anymore, as we're playing for 2.5k, by the way, guys, if you're not a marginal winner anymore, and instead winning at sort of 60 to 80 GPV, then suddenly your bankroll requirements drop a lot, and you can pretty much get by with maybe even 100. If you're at 80 GPV, it would be pretty stupendous to see a greater than 100 buy and downswing. We could 3-bet this, but I'm just going to fold like the nit I am. Shout out to Jonas for pretty much bang on the same answers as I had. As the real Rondo snap check back here. And our Mr. Percy goes for a 1.5 times bet, which I really like if he's bluffing. Zagito is now following. Thank you very much for the follow, Zagito. Hopefully we'll bring some luck and we'll win 2.5k. Fingers crossed. Flopping top pair is a good way to start. Now this guy we know uses a lot of big sizes. So we're going to use small sizes because maybe it's going to induce some raises. It basically is the decision here. If he's someone who uses big sizes all the time, he may then see these small sizes and go, well, this is whatever, marginal. He calls, not a great turn at all, but certainly one that we're going to try and get some value. He couldn't even check back. I mean, it's such a bad turn when we think about it in terms of 10 jack, 7 jack, queen jack, straights all being there. Actually, I'm going to check the back. I really don't want to get check jammed on. Burke 7 is now following. Thank you, Burke. As we get a very Burkey river run out. Not the best run out has happened. I guess we check and hope to be up against queen 6. I think I'm going to give him 10 jack here. 10-2, okay. That's good. That turn is very possibly better to, what's the word? Should have just gone for a bet. Definitely could be the case. But I think it's important not to just bet everything all the time in those situations. And especially if our opponent isn't turning some hands into bluffs, that obviously helps. Let's, I guess, check back with the 6s. Pretty hard to get any 2 overs to fold, and so the equity we're denying is pretty limited, and we can always hit a 6. Okay, we still have a good straight draw. Again, pretty happy just to check here. He snap checks, and so you don't expect him to snap check an 8, a 10, maybe even a 9. Maybe we should bet because of that. Just sort of block bet, and have him just fold ace 5 off. I guess we'll try. See if that timing tell came in good. No. Snap checks, and now chooses a 2.5x raise. I guess he was snap checking Jack Queen, or 8-9, or 8-10. I'd be amazed if this is a bluff, and so therefore I am folding, and we have tons of better hands. Yeah, maybe he's just snapping everything, in which case, probably bad to delay there, if he's balanced. But normally, you know, opponents, depends on the volume they play, but normally opponents turn a house and go, ooh, and even if they check, they are a little bit excited. I am a little bit excited. As Axel Ninja is now following. Thank you very much. Flacco suggests, imagine ever watching ads and not having them block. Yeah. Kevin says, imagine without description, you have to watch an ad during halftime show. That is cruel, Kevin. You want me to deny the joy of the halftime show to the millions of viewers? We're gonna non-all-in king 5 off, close to the bottom of our non-all-in raising range. We're gonna flop a king. We're gonna start with check. Start with check, guys. Fairly straightforward way to play the hand, but I think it's correct. Don't see any reason really to bet. I haven't got tons and tons and tons of history. Like, we played a little bit, myself and Tim, but I think from a perceived range, doesn't make sense. Again, very happy to check again on the turn. We make sure we have fade the best possibility of going broke against the queen. Pretty much going broke against the queen 8, whatever happens. But it gives him some opportunity to take a 7-8 off bluff or something, and he has so much of his range is just 0 equity here that this is absolutely fine. River's an 8. There's no blockers to be had to speak of here. Will he value bet an 8? Probably. Would he bluff a hand like 10-7? Probably. So we're actually going to go for a third check here and hope we can introduce a bluff. Kind of tempting from his perspective. He hasn't got too much ace high. He's got a lot of jack high and below. So certainly tempting to try and represent on this board. But Tim thinks better of it and wisely decides to check. Checks an 8. Credit to Tim. That's what good players know what to do. Not value betting their 8 there. I think a lot of opponents will be very quickly rushing into value bet. And Tim makes us look like a right mug by being very sensible. You think we'll see? I'm actually going to check back this. Again, checking back a flush draw. Again, trying to represent the meta. Certainly calling a turn bet and can represent an ace, king, queen board. Queen especially gives us a lot of opportunities with a blocker. He goes for a check. Should we go for a delay or another check? I think we'll go for another check, to be honest, because I think the diamonds are going to be very, very disguised, and we can still represent the queen, king, and ace if we hit. That's a card that certainly falls in our favour. He snap checks as Zo is now following. Thank you very much for the follow. Hope you're doing well. We're going to go for a 2.5x bet. Pretty happy about it. Hoping he folds some combos. Be kind of surprising if he calls hero calls with super wides, and he does fold. And happy days. Okay, 10-7 off. I promise I'll get back to the chat soon. Obviously, hope you understand. 2.5k, we got to concentrate. And we're going to concentrate by folding the 8-4 off. I think we have to min raise as straightforward as that looks. There's just, we do have some bluffs at 10 bigs. We're going to min this. Just trying our best. We could even check that back, would be an option again. I think it would be kind of interesting. I wouldn't mind that, but yeah. Folding the 7-4 off. 4s against 5s with a 4. It's going to look pretty good for Mr. Persig. Good news, guys. We're now heads up against one of the goats. So we're going to start with a limp. Tim is this opponent we're playing, fantastically balanced opponent, doesn't give off timing tells. He's very, very clever, and he knows to be patient and be fairly, what's the word, balanced in that aspect. So don't think there's any edge to be had here. We're just going to try and play our best and hope to cooler him. To delay or not to delay? There's an awful lot of gut shots here. We're checking back. A 10 comes. I think we'll end up checking this back if it checks to us. He goes for a min bet, and I think with this, we're just going to call. Of course, he can have a 10x, but he could also have a 3x potentially, maybe even a 4x. And so with this hand, just no choice but to call. He does have a bluff. Certainly a very, very, very reasonable bluff from him. No shame in that at all. 1-0 to Tomo, though. 1-0 in the Tim is going to get owned stakes. I'm only joking, Tim, I love him. We're ISOing King Jack suited. We flop absolutely nothing. Is someone in room to check this? But I guess let's go for a bet. Kind of difficult because we... Oh, what to do? We're going to barrel. And we're going to cool off. We unblock the spades. We unblock the hearts and clubs. We would have a lot of bluffs that's played. Again, against the recreational, I would honestly check there and feel very comfortable about it. But against a good opponent, we want to try and keep our ranges as balanced as possible and think more about our total range and how that plays, rather than just the individual hand. 4-0 to Tomo. in this heads up as we get Jack 7 off for 8 big blinds. I guess it's a limp. Kind of close. I will catch up on the chat, I promise. I'm gonna take a quick look at the chat now because 7 big blind poker. We can think about it. Checking back Jack 7 off here. Vic Tony played to see a gif of his next Thursday. Yeah, good. Thursday for you maybe. Is it? Wednesday we do our stuff. No? We're going to call it. 2 overs, gut shot. 7, Jack, 5 is cool. Let's hit a 5, please. Thank you. If you ask nicely, please and thank you. That's what happens. Very interesting spot from our opponent. Tricky spot with the 2. Do we shove? Does he call worse? I'm not sure he does. But we do have some bluffs here, theoretically. I guess we shove. We're going to think about it a little bit. Ship it in. He certainly can have houses, by the way, as played. Maybe this is a bad shove. To be honest, if I wasn't Twitch streaming, I'd probably just flat there. I just didn't want to be called a nit. That was my ego getting the better of me. But we'll take it. 4 big blinds. Pocket 5s. We'll be calling. Pocket 3s. GG to Tim. We are running away from the 500s. 2.5k is ours. Oh, look at that. Very close, actually. Yeah, GG. If the games are so reggy, so we're not going to try and battle our way in the 500s. We're going to hit and run with our profit.